In tonight's deep dive, President Trump's warning of potential strikes on Iran. Trump says Iran's government has 10 to 15 days to make a deal over the country's nuclear program before facing consequences. Iran's ambassador to the United Nations says his country would respond decisively if the U.S. strikes Iran. Now, the threats come after weeks of indirect talks led by the U.S., by the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. For more on this, I'm joined by the Executive Vice President of the Center for International Policy, Matt Duss. Matt, thanks for joining me again. Now, what is the crux of this dispute between the U.S. and Iran? And is there a potential diplomatic solution that would avoid a potential war?
I mean, I think there could be. I think one of the key points of real dispute here is President Trump's insistence on a zero enrichment component for the deal. This is something that Iran has always resisted. The Iranian government sees the right to enrich uranium as part of a civilian nuclear program as their right under the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And I would also add that a number of international experts, most international experts, agree with that states do have the right to peaceful enrichment of uranium for purposes of nuclear power, not to create a nuclear weapon, of course, which is something that people have feared that Iran is seeking. Although I would also add that U.S. intelligence community does not believe that Iran is currently seeking a nuclear weapon. So if President Trump continues to insist that Iran give up any enrichment in the country, I think it's very unlikely, unfortunately, that we would see a deal, but I do think there is that possibility. Iran has said it's willing to sign a deal that would put its nuclear program under heavy inspection, very similar to what we had under the nuclear agreement that was signed by the Obama administration and that Trump withdrew from in 2018. So yes, it is possible to conceptualize of a deal that could avoid war. I think right now the question is Donald Trump going to continue to drive a hard line?
Now, what would be the impact in the Middle East of an all-out war between the United States and Iran?
I think in an all-out war, Iran obviously has a very significant ballistic missile capability. It demonstrated that a few times over the past 2 years in response to attack. It could attack Israel. It could attack U.S. installations such as the U.S. base in Qatar, which is the Al Udeid base, which is the U.S.'s biggest base in the region. There are U.S. troops present in other places. Iran has relationships with other militia groups, the Houthis in Yemen, militias in Iraq and elsewhere in the region that could also mount attacks on the U.S. and U.S. allies. There is the question of the Strait of Hormuz, through which a large amount of energy flows is shipped. It could attack shipping in that region. The Houthis could attack shipping in the Red Sea, as they did several years ago during the Gaza war. So there are a number of levers that could be pulled. There's lots of ways that Iran could respond. But I think the key point here is that when you start a war, it's very, very hard to see where it goes. I think Donald Trump joined the Israeli attack last June. That ended very quickly. That could have gone very badly in a number of ways. It's good that it ended quickly, but I think Iran has made clear, and I think it's been reported, that U.S. intelligence and security experts have warned the Trump administration that this time it would very likely not go that way.
Matt, I want to talk about the challenging position Iran is in right now. We're seeing changing relationships with some of their allies like Russia and Hezbollah, but we're also seeing domestic unrest within its own country. Can you talk to us about this challenging position Iran is currently in?
Yeah, no, I think Iran clearly is in a much weaker position than it has been in the past. A number of very effective tactical attacks were carried out by Israel. The pager attacks on Hezbollah weakened Hezbollah, which was one of Iran's most important allies in the region. The fall of the Syrian government of Bashar al-Assad and replacement with the government of al-Shara, who is now the head of of Syria, that also lost another important ally for Iran. So they do find themselves in a weaker position, but they are not without options.
All right, Matt Duss, thank you for your analysis.